and welcome to another episode of I Want to Talk About This Album. And yes, for Mike Pratt, I'm finally going to talk about Kiss MTV Unplugged. Mike has been requesting that. I would even say he's been badgering me for that for quite some time now, maybe a couple of months or 5 years or something. I'm not exactly sure. But so for Mike, here you go. But before I get to it, of course, I'm going to get to some other stuff. You may have noticed, I think maybe about 4 of you might have noticed it. In the last episode, I said that I was going to see Danko Jones on Saturday. And so stay tuned for Danko Jones videos. And if you're wondering where they are, they're not here because I didn't go to the concert. I had a dental, kind of an emergency. I had a 3 hour, I spent 3 hours at the dentist. The concert Danko Jones was supposed to be on, and I was really excited to go to that concert for several reasons. And I've had a problem with my tooth, well, realistically going back about a year and a half, and then more recently a couple of months ago, and then more recently a few weeks ago, and then most recently Friday. And the concert was on Saturday. I ended up finally going to see a dentist on Friday at 5:30. It ended up being a 3-hour appointment to have I had a real problem with my tooth and they were going to remove it. She said, I asked her how long it would take. She said a simple one is about 30 minutes. A difficult one is about 2 hours. Well, mine was about 3 hours. The whole appointment was 3 hours and she couldn't move it. She said she's never seen that before. She said she's had some tough teeth to remove, but she said she's never had one where that she had to just, stop and say, I can't finish it. That was me on Friday. So I have to go see a specialist. She was, I think, texted about a specialist who's going to have to come and take a look at me. So I have to go, in my time, I'm recording this on Sunday. I have to go to the dentist Monday at noon. And so because of that, this was really, really kind of a big problem. So because of that, I was on medication and kind of recovering, and I have a big kind of a gash in the back here of my mouth. She said, don't travel. And I said, what about going to Mexico City? She didn't say don't go, but she recommended not going because the big gash in my tooth has to form a blood clot so it doesn't bleed. And she said, if if you're walking and standing and everything, it can start to bleed again. She said, avoid any exercise, even bend over. So I can't even bend over. Can you believe it? Make your jokes. Go ahead. No alcohol, no smoking. I don't smoke, so that's not a problem. No pork. Not sure why. I don't eat pork too much anyway. No spicy food. Pretty much everything I eat is spicy. I don't know, the typical stuff. So I had to miss Danko Jones because of that. So that's what happened. And if you notice this blemish here, which is ruining an otherwise perfect face. The blemish is from her having her hand like this, having my mouth open for like 2.5 hours, and it's kind of cutting my mouth there. So I have this little blemish. So there's why there's no Danko Jones videos. So I missed that, and I'm a little bit upset about that. A little bit sour, maybe even bitter, maybe spicy, whatever food taste adjective you want to use. I think I have all those. So now I'm going to get to Kiss MTV Unplugged. And before I get, of course, to the track by track, I have to blah, 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 do this. I'm going to say I love this album more probably than anybody could ever know. I really, 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 I don't know where to put it in the Kiss, catalog. Obviously, it's not a studio album, but I like this. I can't remember. This came out in 1996. I hadn't enjoyed a Kiss album this much since at least Lick It Up, and maybe before that, going back like to Love Gun or something. I liked it, it's hard to compare a live album to a studio album, so I can't say I liked it more than Revenge, but just in terms of how much I listened to it, how much time I spent listening to it, and how good it made me feel, and just how much I loved it. This MTV Unplugged, here it is, by the way. No more suspense. This was, the Kiss album that I just loved more than anything since, maybe the Soul albums, maybe. Couldn't get enough of this record, still can't get enough of it. I listened to it I guess, a pretty regular basis. I can't say that I like it. There's no way I can say I like it more than Kiss Alive or Alive 2. But this album for me is just perfect. And this, not about the album directly, but kind of related to this. This was recorded in, was it, my dog is going to bark in a second. One of them just was. I think the other one should follow suit. And he's not. Maybe he's sleeping. This album was recorded, I think, in the first week of August or last week of July or something, 1995. I'd seen them on their, if you're watching this, you probably already know this because you're a Kiss fan. That's probably why you're watching it. But yeah, there goes number 2. This, they did this in 1990, the summer of 1995. They did this. They called it the Kiss Convention or Kiss Worldwide Convention, something like that. They probably spelled convention with a K. And it was a series of, and I saw it in Toronto, of course, at the Toronto Hilton. They did it in, Pittsburgh and Dallas and, Miami, LA and New York, all the major markets. And it was a kind of a touring, they had all their, the old costumes and everything, and kind of like a traveling Kiss museum. They had all those in display. They did them in different hotels around these cities, in the big conference rooms, or I don't know, whatever. And they also played acoustically. When I saw them in Toronto, I think they did around 40 songs, something like that, some incomplete. One of the best concerts I've ever been to, if you want to call it a concert. Everybody just sat on the floor of the conference room. There were no, it was not standing, and there were no chairs, so everyone just kind of sat cross-legged on the floor like a bunch of dirty hippies, and it was just the best time I've ever had. I loved it so much. And if you watch the Toronto one, I know you can find it on YouTube. Before they play Let Me Know, I had written like a little child. I was 25 at the time, but I wrote, I guess, a big sign saying Let Me Know, because they took requests. And so I think I stood up a couple of times before they actually played it. And I stood up and I held my sign saying Let Me Know. And if you watch that video, you'll see Gene, I think he kind of looks and he goes like this and he points at me. And then they started playing Let Me Know. That was me that he was looking at. Isn't that cool? And what a great time that was to be a Kiss fan. In 95, they were kind of coming off Revenge. Revenge had been out for 3 years at that point. I think nobody really knew what was going to happen with Kiss. They were kind of like free agents at that point. And, Revenge was a great album. I think most people really liked Revenge. It was kind of somewhat of a return to form, but it was very much better than, infinitely better than Hot in the Shade, which came out directly before it, and even, way, way better than Crazy Nights, which came out before that, and going back to Asylum and Analyze and going backwards, Lick It Up and everything. And it was just a really, really fun time to be a Kiss fan at that time. I think that around that time also, they were playing long sets. They were playing 19 or 20 songs, I think, in their regular live shows. I think they played a bunch of shows in South America, Argentina for sure. And now also at this time was another, I guess a great reason, or a reason why I have such a great, association with this record, MTV Unplugged, was that it was the catalyst for what became the reunion tour in the summer of 96, a year later, which this album came out. It was recorded, as I said, I think in early August 95. It came out maybe in April or May 96, and then the reunion tour started on I think it was June 28th, 96. So it was just at that time when it came out, this was the first time that Ace Frehley and Peter Criss had played together with Gene and Paul since 1979, I guess. So, it had been a long time, 16 years. So it was very, very exciting. And I think like most Kiss fans, the thing that is the greatest about this album, the greatest thing about this album is the set list, the songs that they chose. Notable for no Love Gun, no Detroit Rock City, no Deuce, no Strutter, no Black Diamond, no, what else were there? Staples that were not on here. I don't know, God of Thunder, is that a staple? Let Me Go Rock and Roll, Lick It Up, none of those were on here. Almost every song on this album either was done live for the first time ever, not including these the convention tour songs, or they hadn't played them for a long, long time. And so when this first was announced, and I saw the track listing, or maybe I heard it at the same time when I first saw the track listing, I thought this is just the greatest thing they could have done. There are a couple of Rock and Roll All Night is on here, of course, and what are the other hits? Beth, although Beth was an exception to being a great song added at the time. It really, really couldn't have been better. There's not one single thing about this record, even this, especially this set list, that I don't like, or that I have to complain about. It's just, seriously, it's perfect. Kiss at this point, I never lost touch with Kiss, but at this point I was kind of, the honeymoon was over, although I did love Revenge. This got me back, and I went to the reunion tour 3 times on that tour. Oh, and I have some props here, by the way. I have here, here's my, they didn't spell convention with the K. So there's my pass from the, they didn't have tickets. They had these lanyards, I guess. So there it is. It's a little bit faded because I had this hanging from the rear view mirror of my car when I still lived in Canada. So there it is. And there's Gene's autograph on the back. I did meet Gene at this convention. And the other prop is, I have a photo of him, which I will show now. There it is. There's me and Gene. There we go. Whoops. That was after the convention. So that was at the Toronto Hilton in late July '95, and I think I drove to Chicago the next day, or maybe 2 days later or something. So I have a lot of memories of that. There, it got cut off a little bit. There's me and Gene. All right, so that was pretty cool for me to meet Gene Simmons. All right, so there it is. I think I can get to the track by track now, right? I think I will. So I'll open it up now. This obviously I never had this on vinyl, and I got this on Amazon recently, just about 2 weeks ago. I'd never seen it on Amazon. Honestly, I was checking Amazon pretty much every day for months and months and months for some Kiss albums, but other albums. And then this finally came up, and it was pretty expensive. But then when I put it into my cart, the price was like 30% cheaper or something. So I grabbed it right away. And it's a double album, so of course it's going to be a little bit more expensive. Although, maybe notably, it's not a gatefold. It is a double album, but not a gatefold. One small, minor problem I do have with this is the packaging. I don't know why they didn't have the actual cover filling up the whole frame. I don't know why they have this border around it. I don't like it. It would have been cool if they had put, maybe the Kiss logo going around it or something, but it looks, I don't know, it just looks kind of awkward to me. I don't know what the purpose of the boundary is. The border, sorry, and there's the back. So this is my first time seeing it on vinyl. I did have the CD, of course, and listened to it a lot. Really, really a lot. Oh, this, I think I don't need the knife. No, I do. All right, so let me open it up here, and then I'll talk about it. All right, there we go. And not sure what to expect here. No hype sticker. All right. Ah, this is great. There's like a booklet here. Oh, it's like a poster. Cool. Let me see. Oh, this is cool. And this is really good quality too. This is like really thick. Yeah, this is, I think this is the same as the CD booklet. Look at that. Really cool. And really, really nice, thick, heavy paper. Almost photo quality. These are all, I guess, behind the scenes photos. Very cool. Love it. And they had the Rock and Roll Over stage, for whatever that's worth. This was recorded in New York, of course. And there's the actual records. There's one and there's two. I think it's just regular, standard black vinyl. Whoops. Ooh, I almost had a little accident there. There it is. All right. So I can put that down there. My cat is sleeping, so I don't have to worry. I don't know if he could hear me. And maybe it's not important, but my cat is sleeping, so I don't have to worry about her coming over and jumping on this stuff. I'll take this record condom off. All right, there it is. So again, God, every song is just perfect. And I do have kind of a little complaint about this. Not the contents of it, but the contents that are not on it, which I'll try to remember to mention at the end. So the first one is Coming Home. This is obviously from Hotter Than Hell. As far as I know, they had never played this live ever, at least in a regular Kiss concert. They had been playing it on the convention tour, but had never, and I think still they've never played it properly. Maybe they played on one of those Kiss cruises. But, and my friend that I went with, my best friend, Pete, he was a big Kiss fan like me, and he didn't really know Coming Home. And then when they played it, when we saw them in Toronto, he loved it. And then when he heard it on here, I think he became like the biggest Coming Home fan. Great way to open the show with this one, Coming Home. Plaster Caster's next. There's another one that they had never played live. They did play it live for the first time in Mexico City when they played there in 2013 or something like that. And it was like, man, I love both those. I love every song in this album. Plaster Caster. Something that I remember about this one, she wants me all the time to inject her. The plaster's getting harder, and my love is perfection. A token of her love for my collection, for her collection. That always reminded me of Adam Sandler used to do a character on Saturday Night Live called Cajun Man. And when Gene says that, her collection, it sounded like Adam Sandler doing Cajun Man. But Plaster Caster is just outstanding. Next is Going Blind. Oh my God, 3 songs in a row that they had never played live before. And just, my God, they made, Kiss I think has made some bad choices in their career. Pretty much every choice on this album is just the perfect choice. Great acoustic version of Going Blind, which was originally called Little Lady, and Gene changed the lyric. Instead of Little Lady, Can't You See? Little lady from the land beneath the sea. I thought that was a great change. Loved it. You're so young and so much different than I. Yeah, great song. I'm not sure if that would work in a real Kiss, setting, a real Kiss show with the lights and the pyro and everything. I'm not sure Going Blind would work, but it works great here. Next is Do You Love Me? Now, Do You Love Me at this time, I think hadn't been played. This was 95 again. I think this hadn't been played since the Destroyer tour in 76. So, all through the 80s, I'm sure they never played it into the 90s, even on the Revenge tour, which they played some old ones on there, but Do You Love Me? So again, since then they've played it fairly regularly, Do You Love Me? But these first 4, which makes up side 1, are 4 just, again, incredible choices. And then side 2 of record 1 is Domino, which was from Revenge. I think I like this one better than the Revenge version, the studio version. It's just really cool. I think it works great as an acoustic song. I always like Domino anyway, but this live Unplugged version is excellent. Oh God, next is Sure Know Something, another one that I think they had never done live ever. This one is maybe this is the one that lends itself best to acoustic. I don't know, I'm not sure, if I could say that about, maybe I could say that about all of them, but Going Blind too. Sure Know Something, and what I really love about Sure Know Something, the end, because on the studio version on Dynasty, it just fades out, but this one, they had to end it cold, and I just loved the way that they ended it. I don't know if anybody knows what I'm talking about, but yeah, Sure Know Something is amazing. And the next is A World Without Heroes, another one. I don't really like this song. Actually, I don't like it at all. The original version on The Elder, I thought it sucked. I like this one much more. It's still not a favorite, but I like it way better unplugged than on the studio. Also, maybe because Gene didn't cry. He didn't have that tear rolling down his cheek when they performed it live. But yeah, pretty good. And next is Rock Bottom. This is another one that they hadn't played. So this is, I guess, out of the first 8 songs, the only one really that they had played live in recent years was Domino. They played that on a Revenge tour. And they did kind of a shortened intro to it. And then Paul Stanley, gave his Now It Gets Rough before it goes into I Can't Wait a Day, I Don't Care What You Say. He introduced it as Now It Gets Rough. I use that anytime I'm listening to music with, I know a lot of people, especially my ex-wife. We both like that Now It Gets Rough. And I talked a year and a half ago or something with Daniel DK from Exciter about Kiss Alive 1 and 2, and he mentioned also that he likes that Now It Gets Rough. But I just like that reference. And I also know every little nuance of this album. And Paul Stanley's stage raps are kept to a minimum here, which is another reason why I like it, maybe. I'm getting off topic here, but next, so on record 2, the second record, first song is See You Tonight from Gene's solo album, which I will be talking about at some point because I did get that recently. That was one. It had also never been played live, and it's a kind of a mellow, quiet acoustic song to begin with, but even more on here. Just incredible. See You Tonight, very Beatles-esque. Next is I Still Love You. That one they had been playing on the Revenge tour, so I guess it was not a big deal that they did that one. And I don't like that song either. The Creatures of the Night version, the original version I don't really like. The version on the Live 3 I didn't really like. This one, of those 3 versions, the original studio, Alive 3, and this is for sure my favorite. Now, small, it's not a problem here, but the next one is Every Time I Look at You, which I think they'd also never done live. A little bit strange to have 2 ballads back to back like this, and I know there was some stuff cut from here. Maybe in the actual show there was a song in between, but it's when you listen to this, it's a little bit odd that there are 2 ballads back to back. And next is 2000 Men. We're going to bring out some members of the family, talking about Peter, Chris, and Ace Frehley. That was how Paul Stanley introduced them. And you know what a little problem I have with this album? It's a little bit too rushed. I know there's a lot of stuff cut, some crowd banter, I think you would call it, and introductions of songs, and obviously they made a lot of mistakes and they had to restart songs. I understand why they cut that, but it just felt like after coming home, Paul Stanley says, "Hey, this is a real treat for us," and that was a longer thing. So I just felt like this they could have maybe given this album more room to breathe. So Every Time I Look at You ends, and all of a sudden, we're going to bring out some members of the family, talking about Peter, Chris, and Ace Frehley. And then they did 2000 Man, which I don't know if they had ever done that live before. And a little bit of I think a mistake here. They put 2000 with a comma. And it's not a quantity of 2000. That's the song is about the year 2000. How about that? And then the last side, or the second side of the second record is Beth. I even enjoy this one on here. I like this version, I think, better than the studio version. Obviously, it doesn't have the big orchestra. It's just acoustic guitar. I actually really enjoy. I don't really enjoy Beth in general, but this version on here, I do like it. And Nothing to Lose is next. This was another one that they hadn't played, I guess, since 76 maybe. I don't know. And they were playing it in 95. This is one that I didn't realize how much I love this song until just a couple of years ago. I think it's a classic Kiss song. Eric Singer sings Gene's part on this version. Kind of like Eric Carr sang Young and Wasted when they did the Lick It Up tour, and maybe Animalize tour after that too. So Eric sings Gene's part, and Peter Criss. Oh my God, Peter Criss. In some ways, I mean, he only appears on a few songs, but he kind of steals the show here. He sounds awesome, and he nails. I hate it when people say he nailed it, but he does nail it. The last at the end of Nothing to Lose. That's great. Nothing to Lose. Great. It was so cool to hear that song again. And then they ended with Rock and Roll All Night, which is maybe the only kind of predictable thing about this record, or this concert, I guess. But even that one, I like listening to this version Probably better than the live version. Definitely better than the studio version. The last song on Dress to Kill. And I really like this one because Ace and Peter both sang a verse, or I think they split the second verse. And again, Peter sounds great singing it. And now that was the end of the concert. Now, as a bonus track for the record, Got to Choose is on here. One of my favorite Kiss songs. I've had this, as an MP3 for 20 years, probably more than 20 years. I'm not sure, again, maybe a small complaint about this. I'm not sure why they added it just kind of at the end of the record. Maybe they should have, I don't know whereabouts it was in the show and they played it. I think it would have fit better if they had edited it in, did I say that right? Edited it in to where it actually ran in the show instead of just tacking it on at the end. But there it is, Got to Choose. And it's great. And Bruce plays the solo. I love that solo. So that's it. Now, of course, there were also many outtakes from this album. There's a bootleg that's been around forever. I think it's called Kiss MTV Unplugged, Uncut, or the complete Uncut MTV Unplugged, something like that. They ran through Domino, I think 3 or 4 times because Gene kept making mistakes. There were a couple of, it was all Gene's. I think See You Tonight was on there a couple times. Because, it is kind of a TV show, so they had to get it right. And there were some, what songs else? They also played, they kind of messed around and did kind of wonky, kind of incomplete versions of Spit, God of Thunder. What else? Louie Louie. That was with Ace singing. What else did they do? Heaven's on Fire. Kind of, not really complete versions, but there were complete versions of. There were 2. Oh, Hard Luck Woman is one. And what was the other one? Oh, Come On and Love Me. And I don't know why you would think if they were going to reissue this on vinyl that they would have put those on here. I don't really care because I have them and there's lots of room to have added these. I've had those digitally for many, many years, but oh my God, this is just the best. Yeah. And I listened to it a couple days ago. I can't listen to it on my walks because I can't exercise now. That's another thing with this tooth back here. No sun and no exercise, which I love both of those things. So there it is. Weird cover notwithstanding, this is just one of the best Kiss records. It's one that I enjoy listening to more than, in the last 20 years, 25 years, I maybe enjoy listening to this more than any other Kiss record, except maybe Alive. Alive will probably always be number 1. Yeah. But there you go. For Mike Pratt, there you go, Mike. You finally got it. This is Kiss MTV Unplugged.